Hello and thank you for checking out this video. My name is Justin D'Agostino. I am the owner of Cafe Lomez. It's a small coffee business in which I have the food truck as well as I sell my coffee beans. Today I'm going to be giving a review of the Aillio Bullet version 2. I've had it for about 5 months. I'm going to tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'm going to take you through a sample roast. So please stay tuned, hit the subscribe and like button, and thank you once again for checking out this video. Okay, so I want to give you a little rundown on the machine and what it comes with. The first, right here, we have this little chute that you put the beans down, and then you have this little stopper to put it on once they're all in there. You have your faceplate here that you can control. It has buttons for PRS that changes the modes. You can adjust your heating and cooling of the drum temp. You can adjust the fan speed, and all of these also are accessible through the app that you can hook your computer up by this USB cable that hooks into the back here. You also have a USB light that allows you to see in through this glass plate that you can raise up when you connect this pretty heavy duty wand. And this machine is very heavy duty, made of steel, and there's a glass insert in here that is very heat resistant. You have your little wand that you can take out to see the beans, and it comes here with the cooling tray right here, and then it has filters in it that you can change in and out to make sure that the chaff doesn't get in there, and the fan that cools the beans down once it's finished. Then you have all of your screwdrivers. I'll show you here when it comes time to do some cleaning and maintenance, what it looks like inside the machine. It has these screws on the outside, but before I do that, I like to take off all of the things around the outside of it. Unscrew this here. And once you have all of the bolts removed, you can remove your faceplate. And then here is the temperature sensor that you want to clean out with a Q-tip and some rubbing alcohol. You can clean out the chaff. If there's any beans here in your exhaust chute, you can clean that out. You can access your ball bearing, so it's all relatively easy to get to. And then here in the back of the roaster, you pull this to empty out the back. And this is where the chaff collects. Here you just open this little bottom panel, and then it dumps on out of here. And then when it comes time to clean, this is the filter that can come out. Here, I kind of recently cleaned it, so it's not that dirty, but you want to make sure to try to get some of this stuff out of there. And then here is your fan that powers the exhaust chute, and sometimes you just want to make sure that everything is running properly, and if not, you can clean that out as well. And Aillio has a lot of nice videos online that you can see how to clean all these out, as well as guidelines that let you know on how often you should clean it out. So for today's roast, I'm going to be doing a Sumatra bean that I got from Sweet Maria's. So I'm going to weigh out 1,000 grams. I have it on my scale here. That's usually the max that I roast at one time. Make sure to tear out the scale before you start pouring. Almost at 950 there. A little bit more till we get to 1,000. And then once your beans are measured, the next thing you have to do is preheat the machine. You can either push the PRS button to get that started, or if you're in the roast time app, which is one of my favorite parts of this roaster, you set your preheat temperature, and for doing 1,000 grams, you want to get that really hot, so I have it at 590 degrees Fahrenheit. You hit start preheating. It talks to you, the roaster starts spinning the drum, and it starts preheating. And here on the screen, you have all of your different trackers that show you the temperatures of your IBTS temperature and your bean temperature. Usually to get up to 590 degrees, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes, so we wait for that to get preheated. So as the roaster's coming up to temperature, you can see this line right here that is almost up to 550 degrees. So as it's getting going, what we can do is we can press edit our current profile. You can put in a name for the roast. Today is September 8th, so I'll just put in September 8th. You can select your bean. You usually have to put these in advance. You can go through the database and you can pick out which ones you have. Right now I have the Sumatran beans. You put the green weight, which we were at just over 1,000. It was 1,002. You put the temperature today. Today it's pretty nice outside. It's 81 degrees. And the room humidity, here I have a humidity meter. Right now we're reading at 55% humidity. You save that, and then it will record your process. So we're almost preheated right now. I'll just let it go for a few more minutes and then put the beans in. Okay, so now that we're preheated, it took just about 19 minutes. What we do is we push this PRS button here, and it'll say charge, which means it's ready to roast.
Charge.
Then you take off the little stopper, put on your bean funnel, and this is a little tricky to get on. You have to see how it lines up in there to make sure that the beans don't get in the exhaust chute. Then you pour them on in, and it has a sensor that'll tell you the roasting has started. All your beans go in, and when they're in, you take the little funnel out and you put your stopper back on to keep the heat in there. And then now it's just a matter of looking at your settings here on your roast time app, and then when the time comes you can sample a little bit to see what they're looking like. You have the light that shows you inside the glass what the beans are doing, and here on the bottom you can tell the app when they're yellowing, when they hit first crack, when they hit second crack if you're going that far, and then all this information gets saved later. So it's a very useful tool. And then another thing to consider with this roaster is it does get quite hot and generate a lot of smoke out here out of the exhaust port, and you need to be mindful of how you're going to get that smoke away from your house or your rooms. What I do is I just have my setup close to the garage, the door, and then I have a fan that blows the smoke outside so I don't have any problems with it getting inside or setting off any fire alarms. You can also create a little stack, but you want to make sure to give it a little bit of room to vent and not have it directly on the machine. You want to give it a little bit of room to breathe, and then make sure that that smoke gets away from your house, your room, or anything that you don't want smelling like burnt beans. Okay, and as we're roasting here, we're about 4 minutes into the roast, and you can adjust on the computer here down at the bottom the power. So right now I am at power 9. You want to be able to really give those beans a thorough heating, especially if you're doing 1,000 grams or in that category. They're just starting to turn a little bit yellow. So what you can do here down at the bottom is you can click on the yellowing portion. This helps save and record for future roasts if you want that, and if you want to share that with the roasting community. And then the next thing you want to do is mark the first crack start, first cracked end, and the second crack start. Usually that happens at around 380 degrees, but you can listen for it. And again, click on it when it happens. It's pretty cool though, this monitoring system. If you want to go old school, you can always just look at the beans, and then you can take them out right here to get a little sample, and you can also push up here to adjust your heating or cooling if you want it cooler or hotter, the power level, and you can also adjust the fan speed. So right now the fan isn't going that high. I'll bump it up just a little bit to fan speed number 4. And here as we're roasting, I want to show you one of the things that I do not like about this machine. This little space right here is an opening that allows for airflow to go in through the machine. But one of the downsides is that there's a little tiny opening that allows some of the chaff to come out. So as you can see, I have my cooling bin, my tray, away from the machine so that during the roast, all of these little drippings can come out and that they're not going to get into the finished product. I think that's an annoying design feature. I've been in touch with Sweet Maria's, which is the distributor of this in the USA, and they've also put me in touch with the manufacturing department with the Aillio company, and they also said that this is part of the design feature to allow this to come out. I don't know why they did it that way. It's kind of annoying, but that's my number one complaint with this roaster. Okay, so we're at about 11:20 into the roast. The sensor is at 385, the beans are at 376, and I just heard the first crack. So I'm going to mark the start of the first crack, and once it gets up to this temperature, the machine gives you beep warnings, and you can just push the F1 button here to let you know that you're still here, that it won't shut off. If it doesn't get a push from you up here, then it will shut off due to safety reasons. The wind is blowing right now, but I have my fan going to get the exhaust out of the way. But once it gets up to that 400-degree mark and you're getting towards the second crack, that's really when the smoke starts coming in, and you have to be precise if you want to drop the power down, if you want to raise it up to really finish the roast how you want it. Whether if you want it light, like I could stop it right now, but with this Sumatran bean and I have an espresso setup, I'm going to want this pretty close to second crack. So I'm going to take this up to probably like 425 to 430 degrees. Right there you can see the beans, they're getting pretty close to being ready. So the first crack has ended, and then it gives you all of your parameters over here, like the time that it took from the first crack to start to end, the time to the second crack. It's all a really nice user face that you have in this roast time app. Okay, so we are at 422 degrees. The beans are looking good, so I'm going to stop this roast here. So you have to hit the PRS button. That enters the cool down mode. So here I move the computer out of the way. I put the cooling tray ready, and then I open up the door. And then the beans fall out. And then this is another thing that I wish that this machine had, but it doesn't. I wish it had something to stir the beans. I just use a paint can stir. I have to block it a little bit so that the beans don't fall out of the side. And then as the last bean falls down, I shut the door. All my beans are in the cooling tray, and then I can give them a nice stir to try to cool them down as quick as I can. And this usually takes anywhere for me between like 2 to 5 minutes to get them to a cool kind of room temperature. And then the next step that I'll do is I'll weigh them out and then enter the weight to see how much percentage I lost in evaporation through the roasting process. Okay, so these are about cool. So the next step is you hit the PRS button again, and then it enters a shutdown mode where it'll start cooling down the roaster. And then what I like to do for this, when I weigh it, I'll do it in front of the fan. I'll do a pour so that any of that chaff that's still in there, it will clear out when it's getting blown away by the fan here. So I want to be careful as I pour these in, and the fan is blowing out that chaff that I don't have to worry about. I see it on the scale. I hope it doesn't completely fill up here because the beans have gotten larger and expanded. But once I get just about full, I'll do this in a separate batch. Right there I got 678 grams. So we got another 154. So then in your roast time app, we started at 1,002 grams and we ended at 824, and it counts that we had a 17.8% loss. And then for me, the final step that I would do is to put the beans in the bag. These are my custom bags if you'd like to get any, Café Lomez. I have my directions on what I think is the best way to prepare this, and then I also will write down the bean and the roast date, and then I use the funnel to put in the bag to get the beans in, and then I seal the top of it, and then it has the little air gas release valve. So to conclude this video, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I really like about this roaster, as well as some of the things that I don't like and could be improved upon. So what I really like is the size of it. It's perfect for my coffee business. I roast anywhere between like 5 and 10 pounds of coffee beans per week, and this can do that no problem. It could probably even do more if I needed it to. And even if I go to a bigger setup at some point, if I expand, I'm still going to keep this that I can use for like test batches. And if you're out there, if you have a coffee business and you need something to do test batches, I think this will be perfect for you. Or if you are a very passionate home roaster and maybe have a lot of guests that you want to serve coffee to, I think this could meet your needs as well. I also really like the Roast Time app. You can hook it up directly to your computer. The Roast Time app allows you to control everything on here very easily, from the heat to the drum speed to the fan speed. You can track your roast, you can create recipes, you can share with the roasting community. It's very straightforward and easy to use, so I really like that. I also like the touch screen on here, and the buttons. They're all very intuitive. I like right here you can see the beans, you can get a sample. There's also the glass screen right here that you can see the beans as they're rolling around in the drum. So that's a really good feature. Yeah, overall I recommend this, but some of the things that I think that they could improve upon is the design feature that I was mentioning in the beginning, where there's this little hole right here that allows for airflow, but it allows some of the chaff to escape. That's pretty annoying. And I also thought that for the price point of this, that there should have been a device to stir the beans as they are cooling. I have to use the paint stick right here. I think that for over $3,000 that they should have been able to figure that out. So again, one of the things that I don't like is I think that this is priced a little bit on the expensive side, but it's really sturdy, made of solid materials. Hopefully it'll last me a long time, and with my business, hopefully that I'll be able to sell enough beans to pay this off and have it be a worthwhile investment. So I do recommend it. I think that it is a good machine, but I do think that they could have done a little bit better with the chaff issue, and also with the cooling tray. I think that they should have had something to stir. But besides that, everything else is great. I highly recommend it. If you have any specific questions, please leave them in the comments below. Or if you have any recommendations for future videos for me, please let me know as well. I'd appreciate it if you subscribe and like the video. And thank you very much for checking this out, supporting me, and I hope you have a great day.